Audio check, ladies and gentlemen, audio check. All right, we're going to get going here. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great and awesome show. I have our co-host Pedro Garcia in the little box over here. Pedro, what is happening? It's good. We have an interesting show. We'll talk about catch up on the weekend and later and that type of stuff. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin, along with Nasdaq, and as Pedro was saying, the S&P are trying to regain their highs from last week's pullback. Pedro, Donald Trump disclosed that he has made $57 million from World Liberty Financial. And all of that is just basically appearance fees and getting to use the name Trump. 57 million, not bad, huh? Not bad at all. Also, on the crypto fraud front, always something that we talk about here. An article is out talking about how deep fakes, actual videos and or audio and related websites are now tricking people up to 40 to 50% of crypto fraud. So AI is taking over in the fraud department. And of course, the theme of the show that I had put together, ladies and gentlemen, I was trying to think of some good stuff to use as videos to break out and have some more information for everybody to consume and boost the views on our network. And so I thought, what better than a little discussion about gold? Where is? Thought I had that queued up, ready to go. This one, BTC or AU, Bitcoin or gold. Which is it going to be? Will Bitcoin take over as a reserve asset for the world? I don't mean reserve currency. I just mean like a flight to safety asset. Will gold retain its dominance, or will they find a nice common mix somewhere like that? So lots to discuss. At this point, I can tell you there's no right answer, but discussing the items behind it, I'll kind of give you an education on what's going on in the world and how the world's currency and settlement markets work. Thought it would be interesting. But before that, Pedro, just like we said, or just like I said a few minutes ago, and like you said with the S&P, market's starting to pump this Monday. As you've taught me, Monday pump means Friday dump, or just at least beginning of the week up, end of the week down. So everyone's really bullish here at the beginning of the week. We're moving right out of the gate, but that's telling us later there'll be a sell-off. So what's going on with Bitcoin? Whoop, whoop. Shit, hold on, Pedro. Sorry, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. I had been doing so well, Pedro, on not muting your mic, because I monitor the stream now in my ear. But I could hear myself, and I thought, oh, the sound is going, but you were muted. Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro, what is going on with Bitcoin today?
This man. all right, this man. So it is going well, and the market is doing what the market is doing. We talked about a few things on Friday. I said that I expect to see us kind of go down first into the weekend, creating that demand wick, and then seeing it kind of go up from there. Like I said, I do expect us to see at the end of July to be green and to see us really get going for this bull run. On the back end, we kind of consolidated here. Like I said last week, that I was hoping for us to go deeper into this area here, that 100 and potentially that 95 area again, 94, 95 area again, so that we can tap some areas. Here's your 95 area, here's your 92, 93 area. And the reason why is this would give a pretty strong demand wick and make it kind of harder to really kind of come down, because it would be a lot of defense as we push up. And we had a decent sell-off 2 weeks ago. Last week was okay. We ended red for the week though. So this is where I'm kind of hesitant to sit there and say we're going to continue back up, literally because we're going up, as Tom said, up for the week. And like, as I always say, if we go up for the beginning of the week, we should expect a sell-off at the end of the week. So come back down to this area. and which kind of, I don't want to see that. I really want to see us kind of go down for the beginning of the week so that we can see an up at the end of the week and show strength. So it could be going up to go down to go up, which you're like, wait, what? So basically it goes up, okay? Then we see a sell-off. When that sell-off comes down, it then tricks everybody, takes everybody's stop, and then we see it go up again. So that's what I'm thinking they're doing here on the monthly chart. We got a decent wick, a demand wick for the month here. So it's not bad. We actually have a decent demand wick. And we put it in pretty strong with last week's going up and coming down. So I would expect us to see it kind of come down a little bit further. But if not, we see it continue up, then we're going to definitely come back and test this area up here, that 111, that 111, 108, and potentially all-time highs, which should be the 111.80 if this thing continues. Now, on the back end, this idea behind us continuing down, the way that we're going to see that is if we see a lack of volume into the movement up. So if we're pushing up and we're continuing up, we want to see increase of volume as we're pushing up so that it gets, we see it above average. That's how I'll sit there and go, all right, no, we're going to continue up into this market. And it's already put, and it's already put in that weekly, we already put in the weekly demand. As you can see, it's not a big demand wick, but over the last few weeks, we put in a decent amount of demand wicks in. So potentially the institutions have already established their orders, and now we're going to see it continue. We did stay above the 8-period moving average on that weekly. So it is another very bullish sign for the market because we're staying above the 8 and we're continuing up. So over the next few days, we've got a few things in the market. We've got some pretty big news coming up this week. So we want to make sure that we're ready for it. One being from news, we've got FOMC this week. We've also got jobless claims coming up. So we want to be ready.
Is the FOMC
potentially
the rate meeting?
Yes and no. So you can see it's different types. So it's basically FOMC could potentially be the rates, interest rates, going over stuff, see what's going on. It just depends on. Yes. I should just say yes, because almost every time. But then there are outliers. But yes, we'll sit there and say that there's FOMC coming up. Where they're going to be talking about what's going on. Also, we got the G7 something going on right now. In additionally to that,
right here in Kanukistan,
the U.S. Literally, are you going to go check it out?
It's about 2,000 miles away. It's in Calgary. All right, I shouldn't say it's in Calgary. It's between Calgary and the middle of nowhere. They have it in one of those places where they can control the entry of every living person within 100 miles. Doesn't get anywhere near that place.
Oh yeah, so man, they don't even play. Also, you got jobless claims coming out on Thursday, so it's going to be a pretty crazy week news-wise. So this is why I said we could be seeing some up and down movements where we see it go up, then down, then up. Okay, and so it relates to the actual news sources, and you also got to be ready for a Trump tweet. So make sure you're paying attention to the social so that you don't get just jigsaw all over the place. Wrecked jigsaw or whatever. So that's in it, guys. That's in a nutshell. Just be ready. I kind of give you a few scenarios there. I know it was kind of all over the place, but again, as Tom's and I first interaction, when I once said, he's like, what is the market going to do? I go, it's going to go up, then down, then up, then down, hit these stops here, then go up here. And he goes, what? And
what you talking about, Willis?
He's like, what's it going to be at the end of the week? I go, most likely up. And he goes, and then he's like, dude, all right, I'll use it. And I go, because remember, our first interaction was like,
right, because I was trying to come up with what to say on the show.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's like, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go all around. All right, Pedro, on your Bitcoin chart here, pull it back up to the daily chart.
Yes, sir.
Let me look at your lines there.
Actually, I need to take this off here because that is. Excuse me. I don't mean to pick my nose. I just got a little itch right here. Forgive me. I feel really rude. Okay, there
Ladies
we
and
go.
gentlemen, welcome to the show. That's the entertainment you get here on DYOR Media Network. Shout out to everyone watching us on Rumble. Thank you very much. We're up to 9 viewers over there. We got to get up to 20 viewers over there so we can read those wonderful Rumble ads. Pedro, we're making fat bank from that. I think we're at a total of. I think the total read is up to $3.64 now.
Yes, bro, making that money, bro.
Rolling in.
If we lived in a fourth world country, you know what I'm saying?
That'd be Bangladesh. That's Bangladesh money, man. That's what that is. Congo, the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. They'll get you steak dinner for a month. Might not be cooked. Maybe crawling with worms, but it'll get you a steak dinner for a month. Anyway, you've got some lines up there showing the lows of various points. Like right there, your little green box. I'm guessing one is the monthly low and one is a weekly low or something like that.
Yeah.
In this week, I'm trying to put together the talk in which you talk about beginning of the week going down, up at the end, or reverse. You know if we're pumping right now in the charts. The market's moving and grooving. But if the market just says, you know what, I'm going to go down and take out these lows here, at least for the week, maybe not the month, but the weekly open there, the lower wick you have right there, there.
Okay,
if it takes that out, that's a pretty good indicator that we're coming down to get here some liquidity, and then a following pump. Is that how? Am I distilling your information correctly there?
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. And what we would see happen is it would be based off of news reactions, because we've got the FOMC, we've got G7 summit, we've got the jobless claims coming up here this week, and so tomorrow we have retail sales or
yeah, I think it is. It's core retail sales or something like that.
Yeah, it's core retail sales. Yeah. So you have a few things that potentially, core retail sales. So these are going to be little turning points for the market in which they use like, oh no, poor retail core sales, and then it plummets down, and then the FOMC is like, we're going to drop the rates, or we're going to raise the rates, or we're going to whatever it be, right? And then it goes up, it goes down, right? And then all of a sudden jobless claims are, we had great numbers. They were low, and all of a sudden the market just screams up, right? This is kind of how they play things. So,
all right. So big pockets. You've been talking about this for a long time now. In this area down here, there was a little bit more of the chart. I would have a bigger circle to wave, but and you've been talking about the pricing coming down here, and I'm beleaguering this, or belaboring it, whatever the right word is there. First of all, to talk through it in my brain, but also to get you guys that are watching this show, whether live now or on the replay, is what Pedro and I try to talk about here, is that price mooning and price discovery is always a great thing. People love that. They FOMO into that and drive the price higher. Most people don't make a lot of money on it because they just become others' exit liquidity. But what you want to watch out for is where all the money is, and what Pedro tells us with these charts, and with below these other lows are pockets of liquidity that the price eventually will come back down and grab, and get the big institutional guys will come in and put their big buy orders in there, and then the market will run after that. And if I'm talking about this in the timing of the week, because that kind of helps explain Pedro's concept of, if it goes, not Pedro's, but it's quite a large concept that a lot of people go by, is that if it goes down in the beginning of the week, it's going to grab this stuff down here and then moon up. However, if it goes down at the end of the week to come down here and grab this stuff, that's a different story. Of which I don't know how to talk that through, but it would be like the people at the end of the week being bearish, selling off, and then these buyers, doesn't moon after that. They have to wait till next Monday to see how the week plays out.
Well, and I also want to add this in addition to that. I mean, we've got the ceasefire potentially happening with Iran. Iran saying we're no longer going to be messing around with nukes because we just don't want the hellfire with Israel. In addition to it, we're also seeing Iran like definitely starting to backpedal in a sense of like, even though they're still sending rockets, I think they're running out potential. I don't know I don't know, but this is one of those things that we've seen some big movements in the market so far. And so if that does happen, I would expect to see a major push with Bitcoin again. Because again, the Middle East is all over Bitcoin like brown on Mexican. Whoop, whoop, this guy right here. So, so there's this idea behind it is just that there's so many news sources going, there's so many big news. It's a big news week. So this week could be very much be topsy-turvy. This is why I want to make sure you guys are aware that we could see some big whiplashes happening right now. And I want you to be aware of what's happening and take advantage of it. So as this week starts to happen, we're seeing it go up. I talked about volume coming in. If we see volume coming in as this market is going up, then expect a ceasefire. And as well as good news coming in. If we see volume increasing, okay, as we're pushing up. And then I know we've put in the monthly wick and the weekly wick to continue up. If I don't see volume, which is real indication of what people are doing with their wallets, i.e. institutions, then the institutions are suckering in the novices so they can short against you, which I typically see. But all that is in caveat that if the news cycle isn't absolutely bonkers this week. Okay. And so it's like the first time we met, this is one of those weeks that is potentially going to be kind of crazy because of we're above resistance and we are above support and we are below resistance. So it does have walls to ping pong off of.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to be tracking the market today, see how it does at the beginning of the week. But I got to tell you, if it comes down to those liquidity levels down below, it's going to make for some excellent buying opportunities. And
absolutely.
And turn the money printer on.
I agree. And Tom, you've gone through and done a lot of research on backtesting stuff. So I'm actually excited to see how your trading is going to be in the midst of all this.
I'm limiting myself to the two things that I've been watching. That's the when the price action comes up into the 200 period moving average, and then or meets it and breaks through it, settles above it, and then the 8 and 21 come up. And the 8 crossing it is good. I like that. But I want the 21 or 20 or 21 to confirm that is. And then that's a model I've been using. And then I've been working on the money printer. After the liquidity sweep comes in, waiting for it. Some people get in right away. And I'm practicing waiting for it to go up and then come back down and retrace a bit. Find either in the 786 retracement and then go out of it. And I missed it. When did I miss? Hold on, let me look at my chart. When did I miss it? I missed it. Well, I got the daily chart on here.
While Tom is pulling up real quick, I also want to add this for you guys. For this week, we're really going to kind of try to specify certain news events because those news events are going to work in conjunction with what we're seeing. So I want to make sure that these you need to understand for you guys in your profit taking and when to take profit. And I'm going to emphasize, hey, look, we're don't think this is going to continue because we still got tomorrow for the next news source, right? And so this is where you want to be mindful of kind of like that idea of what we're seeing. Go ahead.
All right, I put Oh, no, I didn't. Is it going to turn my chart on here? All right, there's my chart. I came in, hold on, I got to move things over a little bit. This was yesterday afternoon. And some days I haven't been trading. Saturdays I've definitely not been trading. That's just a rule. And Sundays, as we get towards the evening and the open of the markets in Asia, start to watch price action, see what's going on. And I saw this. Hold on, I'm waiting for my screen to switch here. I saw this happen here. I'm just gonna have to do this without seeing myself. There's a double top, actually a triple top here, and then this liquidity sweep here. And I thought to myself, reversal coming in here. And where my cursor is blinking here, that did a little, I got in right here because there was a retracement. If I pull it out on a, blow it up, it shows that it had retraced, and I thought to myself, okay, that'll be a good spot to get in. I put my stop in right down here. There was another 200 period moving average on the 1 minute or something that was there. I said, okay, put it right under that. That's fine. And then it immediately dumped, as you can see, right after that. I just didn't have the entry point right, and I should have waited. Should have waited for more confirmation, and then it just ripped. It literally ripped all the way up till this morning or overnight to 107. Now clearly I would have taken, if I had made this trade, I would have had profits taken out right about where it meets these previous highs, and then I would have left a runner. And to be honest, once it started tanking here, I would have panic sold the runner and not participated in this. But you can see if I had entered it correctly, I would have done well. But I missed it. But that's what happens.
That's why I always like doing 3 targets, right? I think those three targets. That's why I always try to show you guys 3 targets, because you can take up your first and your second, right? Like your second would have been at that level, and then your third, you just keep it. Again, it's only 20% of that trade, or 15% of that initial trade, because you take out 60 to 70%, and you have 30, right? And so you take off 15% of that 30. And then, or you take off 20% of the 40 if you initial takeout was 60. And then, so that's your second target. And then your third target, you just let it run. And then from that moment, you're like, well, that's just pennies. Well, listen, percentages, this is a game of percentages. This is a game of yards, as they say in, what was that movie? I'm messing it up. But it's a game of feet. It's a game of feet, and
I can't believe he broke his freaking neck.
Yes. yes. It's a game of feet, man. It's a game of percentages, and so we want to gain percentages, whether that's 0.5%, 0.2% in crypto. Now that the institutions are getting involved, these are really important structures to understand the market, or metrics to understand the market of percentages of movements. Again, we're so used to in crypto we want 10x, we want 100x, we want 1000x, which I believe we still have a lot of those in the barrel. But right now, it's just you're learning how to trade crypto with institutional money. Again, they have their access when they use SME, when they trade the futures on those, right? And so that's where I'm trying to get you guys engaged so you can understand how to play these, and then it'd be fun. You guys will have a lot of fun once we start to bring in the CME, Bitcoin, and all of a sudden, now you're making X amount. Anyways, those for another day, another time.
There's always another day and another time. There's so much information in this business that you could literally spend all of the time working. Pedro, I don't know if you noticed, but I got all of my hairs cut here.
I did notice, and you look
at
good,
that.
man.
I remember I had that long curly hair there for a while. But you know what happens now? Apparently, I'm at that point in my life where things start turning gray.
Oh no.
Yeah. Who knew that would happen to someone eventually here? But apparently, things that I've learned are that your dark hair, your healthy hair, grows a little faster, just a tiny bit faster than your gray hair.
Yeah.
And so when I had the long hair, I was like, yeah, I've got some gray here. It's, I'm getting a little salt and pepper. The missus is like, yeah, you're getting a little salt and peppers. Then I get the haircut, and wow, all that gray just pops out from the bottom, and you're like, just give me my walker in my old folks' home right now. I mean, it was like, funny. I was like, oh my, I was like, what is going on here? I'm like feeling like an old man. I'm like, just from, this is in the barber chair. This is not walking around or doing anything else. I'm just like, I'm looking at fall into my, and I'm like, and the lady, she's real nice. She goes, oh, it's about 30% gray. I'm looking at it. My math brain is going, oh, it's more than that. But anyway, that was my big deal for them. I'd been letting the old hairs grow for a while, as they say. And Mrs. Striking was out of town on Friday, and I surprised her with the haircut. And she came back, and I was wondering if she would like it or not, and she did. So it all counts.
As long as you don't shave, you're good.
Well, it is it's much shorter now and trimmed better. I had the barber did that professionally too, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine with it. The barber goes, no, it's not good. I had hair sticking out all over the place like this, and it was all making my lip look like I had no teeth and stuff. And, it's fine. Then I came home and looked in the mirror, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this well. Even after doing this for 10 years, I'm still not good at it. This thing was all crooked, so it was going this way or something. Whatever. They fixed it.
Yeah, you got that. It's funny is I don't really get a good flavor saver. Like he says, I have to sit there and like push it and this and whatever, so it doesn't feel weird.
I think it took 10 years to grow that.
Yeah, you don't get that once you turn 18. It takes a minute. So I was talking to this kid. He's 27, and he's finally starting to get like full like connection from here to here. And I go, at what point did you fear that you wouldn't get the full connection? He goes, bro, I've been fearing since I was 18.
You don't know
what it comes in for everybody majority of the time. So
here, this side, I have to. This side grows down here, okay, but this side, I have to let these things. These things are much longer over here to fill in the gap. That was and every once in a while you mistakenly just shave it with the cutter at the wrong height, and it cuts out those long ones. And I'm like, and I got a hole, and I'm like, no.
You know what actually will fill that? No joke.
Magic marker.
No. Start working out with weights.
I have been. You should see. There's a big change going on here.
Nice, man. If you keep it up, what happens is those little patches that you get in come from when you want them to come in more, just work out more, do more compound exercises. Like squats, bar dips, weighted pull-ups, things that work just a ton of muscle groups, and then before you know it, like within 3 months, like all that stuff grows in. So it's funny.
All right, Pedro. Hold on. Let me hit one of the articles I had here just briefly. If it switches on me. Here's the article on Decrypt. I didn't mention this one, but I thought it was really important to talk about. Trump strategist outlines how Bitcoin helped Republicans win the election. Something that we spoke about at length, ad nauseum, however you want to describe it. And the Trump, the people that were involved with the campaign came out and just said, look, we needed to ensure that we got every last vote possible. In one of the areas that was easy for us to support and stick it in the eyes of the Democrats was in Bitcoin and digital assets. And it says right here, they recognize the importance of the crypto community early on. Then candidate Trump spoke at Bitcoin Nashville last year.
It's huge.
Can you believe that he's only been the president for 5 months?
Dude, it has been a roller coaster of a 5 months. I know.
Yep.
It's
anyway. One of these guys was speaking at the Coinbase State of Crypto Summit in New York City on Thursday, and he said that targeting crypto voters helped President Trump court a lot of supporter, particularly those belonging to voter blocs that have traditionally proved less likely to cast ballots or cast ballots for GOP candidates. So it actually brought people to the polls that would otherwise been like, meh, I'm not going to vote. And they ended up voting for Mr. Trump. Both black, and this is important, both black and Asian Americans report higher rates of cryptocurrency owners than their white peers. According to a research report in 2024, the data shows that 28% of Asian Americans and roughly 20% of black adults reported owning cryptocurrencies, while it was just 14% of white adults. So I found that to be very interesting. I don't believe it's completely accurate. I think the numbers are much higher now, maybe. But regarding that, 83% of black voters identified with the Democratic Party, while roughly 60% of Asian Americans are left-leaning. But as you may suspect, crypto pulled a lot of them into that. And so that was, we spoke about that. And so it's another thing in our hat that we can say, we called on this network right here. The network you guys are watching, ladies and gentlemen, called out these things. We had our crypto swamp creature, Justin Wallin, call out Trump win because of the Hispanic vote. Turned out he got it right, but it was almost every demographic went up, but especially the Hispanic. And Pedro and I talked about how, crypto voters, crypto holders, it's not so much that they flocked to Trump because he said, oh, it's good. With Biden and Warren telling everybody they were evil. They were essentially standing up there saying you're all criminals. And that doesn't work, telling voters that you guys are all criminals.
Or you're not black if you don't. Or you're not right. That didn't help.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Obama didn't help anything at all there.
Yeah, he didn't. I couldn't. My feed was flooded with many of my brothers out there saying, bro, you can't tell me I'm not black if you ain't like dude. Like there's that guy, anyways, I wouldn't even need to go there. I just thought it was nuts that when he said that, I was like, dog, you literally just took your damn. Like you just shot yourself, bro. Like you just like for real. Anyways, I always think about that moment when on 8 Mile when that guy, I forget the guy's name, he's kind of like the dorky kid, and he shoots himself in the junk. What was his name? But anyways, this dude, that was that moment when that man just, once he said that, he was just like, boom, oh, he didn't even know it. He didn't even know it.
All right, and before we move on to the other topics of what's trading and what's going on, where we are with gold, oil, and all that type of stuff, the G7's going on here in Canada right now, in the town of Kananaskis, Alberta. That's the town, Kananaskis. I've been in Canada now a long time. I've never heard of this town. Although there's lots of little towns out there. It's kind of a resort community type place. But anyway, it's called the G7, but there's 15 world leaders there. Mark Carney, even though we've got a G20 thing too, periodically, Prime Minister Mark Carney decided to invite basically everybody there. And the headline here in Canada is Trump wants to get to the bottom of this new Canada-U.S. trade deal during the summit. So Pedro, you were talking about the price fluctuations earlier in the week. This is one to watch. Because the U.S.-Canada relationship, while not big monetarily, is important because it's going to set the tone for getting things done. If you can get something done with Canada, then they can move on to the harder ones like China and so forth, and the EU and even the UK to get those things finally finalized instead of talking about them, over and over and over again and causing havoc in the markets. Oh God, the other headlines here are just weird.
I thought was really interesting as a headline, and I think one of those cool things was that Justin's son is...
Your mic's far from your mouth.
One of the things I thought was really interesting was that Justin Sun is going out of his way to go public so that he can buy more of Tron, which I thought was really, really kind of a infinite or TRX, excuse me, or Tron, which I thought was really interesting.
So essentially doing a share buyback scheme for Tron?
Yeah, well, basically he's doing what Strategies is doing for Bitcoin, but for
he wants to become a Tron treasury.
Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting because it was like, yeah, not just buyback, but again, each they give other people staking rewards, and so they're basically paying themselves in a sense, right? And while at the same time being able to pay each other, the people who hold their coin. And I thought that was really interesting because one, it does solidify and support their chart, but also more importantly, it puts into a place this intermediary stock and coin stock I've talked about that I expected to see start to come, and I've kind of put it out there a couple of times now, where it's like I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to be an intermix between crypto and stocks. And the way we're watching this situation, I said, and we mentioned it would be something similar to what Strategies is doing, but now that I'm looking at that, that really makes it more advantageous for a person like they go public, as well as we're watching Coinbase do something similar as well. Coinbase is now going out
Hey, Pedro,
there.
having that mic in front of your mouth it doesn't work.
Okay. Is that better? Is that better? Is that better right there?
Yeah, the side is better.
Okay. So one of those, thank you guys, I appreciate it. One of those things that I thought was interesting is now Coinbase is going out there and really starting to really take on the idea of DeFi, not take on, but bring to their own narrative with their CeFi system. They're going to bring the DeFi system in conjunction with it because they realize how much money a lot of these other companies are making based off of their decentralized blockchain. So again, that brings that narrative that DeFi is just a better system because people aren't going to a CeFi system. Once they come into a CeFi system and they start to realize the benefits of the CeFi system, and then they look and go, that's a DeFi? That's way better. How do I do that? They just basically use them as a springboard to jump into the water of DeFi. So it's silly for them not to do it. And so I think that idea of allowing a company to go public, or a crypto company to go public, to be able to hold almost as a treasury, it makes complete sense. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a little early for this. I can see other people wanting to copy. In fact, a lot of people are copying Saylor strategy and saying that our company is going to have a Bitcoin treasury. We're going to have all these products just like Saylor. They're like, hey, that seems to be working for him. Let's get everyone to FOMO into our company. And I think that's a little premature. Obviously, Tron has the benefit of having the massive Tether stablecoin organization and ecosystem behind them, and billions and billions of dollars move through Tron because of Tether. Being kind of, I don't know what the right word is, Pedro, but like its native chain or its original chain, however you want to describe it. It's where, well, I'm not going to go into that. But the point is, I think it's a little early because there's so many things that can still go wrong with even Bitcoin doing it, never mind the altcoins. I mean, Bitcoin dominance could turn around and go crazy and just send the altcoins into a tailspin, and suddenly those treasuries, when you price them against Bitcoin, suck. Then again, Bitcoin dominance could tank and the altcoins run, and all of a sudden, not only did he invest in the treasury, but priced against Bitcoin, they made a fortune.
Almost that either or. I would disagree with that because there's many variables outside of the far left and far right thought on that. I mean, the idea of what if all of crypto from let's say, a rising tide coming in, it lifts all boats. If we saw crypto market cap go from $3 and $4 trillion to, say in the next 10 years, 40 trillion or 50 trillion, potentially $100 trillion, then that changes the whole entire narrative. Yeah, I mean, you going through and being able to only increase dominance against Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin shoots to 10 trillion, 15 trillion, and all the other altcoins jump up to 8 trillion, you know what I'm saying? It may not be against the dominance, but the reality is that because of the rising tide, you had a major influx of money coming into crypto, which made the people who bought at a lower rate better. And those stocks, if they start to play out at that route, I would expect to see millionaires almost made on both ends in crypto as well as in stocks or traditional finance based off of those almost in between stocks. Because I mean, the way you delivered it, it's too binary. It's just
right.
It's not how trading works or life works.
Right?
We know that. I mean, I used to say that door knocking. I used to be like, listen, just keep my card because we both know how life works. And the person, because I'd be like, you want my card? And they'd be like, nah. And I was like, look, I understand you're busy, but we both know how life works. And I'd give it to them. I'd be like, here you go. And they would just reach out and grab it and go, all right. Like, listen, just keep my card. So we both know how life works.
Oops, sorry about that.
It's never binary. And that's one thing that does frustrate me about Tom Bilyeu. He's very binary. His presuppositions hold a very narrow ideology sometimes. And then he puts a binary thought process out of it, which I love Bilyeu. I think Bilyeu's amazing. Tom is awesome. But sometimes he can be very, that's why as a trader, I look at things and I go, okay, here is a scenario. Here's another scenario. Here are 4 scenarios based that could happen on the current outcome of this. And out of those 4, now we have a plethora of opportunities to make money.
Good word.
Right? That splinters out. But it's important to understand that that's not how things work majority of the time in a binary, in a crazy world.
However, I'll give you credit for using plethora. That's one of my favorite words.
Oh, really? So you heard it. Tom is saying I disagree, and I'm saying I disagree with him. So we're not always on the same stuff, but it's good. It's good. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, and not only that, but to be honest, Justin Sun is one of those people that people either love or hate him. Either they're like, he's a visionary and just made a mistake, and other people are like, dude, he cost me $100 million. And obviously everyone's responsible for their own money, and if you had $100 million exposure to this guy, you should have diversified, obviously. But so people are on the either side of that.
You can't just use Justin Sun, because all right, Elon, Jeff Bezos with his flight in regards to Blue Origin going up to with all the supermodels, or not supermodels, but all those actresses and famous girls, right? Like you can't just say Justin Sun cost me, because there's a lot of other people who are in TradFi who cost a lot of people lose hundreds of millions of dollars, right? I mean, the man lost almost $100 billion based off of the deflationary actions that he caused, potentially by siding with one way or another. Also, Justin Sun is one of the primary holders that we know of the Trump coin. It's the biggest holder. So it's, again, it's not just, he cost me money. So did XYZ other people. So it's not one way. Well,
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Pedro, because we have to earn the monies every now and then, and now's our chance to earn 19 cents from Rumble.
I love it.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. Thank you for watching, everybody. I got to move this over so I can read it
Also,
properly.
as he's doing this, please hit the like and click on the ad within the live chat so that we earn a little bit more extra money if you don't mind.
Right, click this QR code. Why? Because if you're looking for a great place online for news, discussion, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, I gotta say, they're legendary, and Pedro's watching them every second for a new one, then get on Truth Social today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. Pedro, DYOR Media has a Truth Social account. And we post our show schedule on it. We do a little bit of commentary on it. Over there, we post in the crypto group over there to get the word out about the show, and also obviously in our feed. So if you are a Truth Social person, find us over there on Truth Social. Just type in DYOR Media. Follow us. And we can get into some good discussions about crypto and politics. As you may suspect, Pedro, the Crypto Swamp Creatures with their show, where the digital assets meets Washington, D.C., gets a lot of viewpoints and comments over there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Truth Social, follow DYOR Media on Truth Social, and sign up if you don't have an account. All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting so good at this now.
There we go. And please hit that. If you don't have it on the actual screen where we're talking, if you open up your comment section, it will be on the upper right hand side there for you, or wherever the comment section will appear on top. Just click the link, and that does help us out quite a bit. Go through, click it, go down. Shout out to our guys who are there that are supporting us. Really do appreciate every one of you guys. Thank you so much. And I pray that you guys have a blessed day while we are talking here. Okay. Quick question for you, my friend.
Your mic is falling away again.
Okay, what about now? What about that?
No, out in front. Can't work. Can only work on the side of your mouth that it's designed for. The wrong side. Right side.
Right there.
Correct
There you
side. There we go.
All right. It's interesting because I'm starting to I can feel it pressing down right here. And I'm like, I just don't want it.
Pedro, your skull is way too thick for that little piece of plastic to dent. Remember the caveman comment earlier?
That is so.
Me Pedro. Me Pedro. Go BTC. Ugh. Price go up. That's obviously satire and parody comedy there, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, maybe not so much. I mean, I would agree. I got a pretty thick skull. Talked to enough people. They said you could be a little humble there.
All right, Pedro. Let's get a little bit more of some financial products out there and what they're priced at, and then they'll go into a little bit of talk about where we are with Bitcoin versus gold.
All right, so let's go ahead and go into gold here real quick while we're talking about that, because it'd be one of those things I think we could. So we've seen the actual pullback here. Now, we talked about this year that the market, I expected to at least get to 3,300. At that time, it was in at 2,500. And so at that time, and this is where our market, as I said, expected a pullback into the beginning of the year around March. But after that, we've seen it just do nothing but skyrocket. Hit our position right here back in April, and now we just kind of been just flirting with this, but we had a decent pullback. I thought we were going to come back down to the 100, which is going to be that 2,900 or 29 or about $3,000 mark, and then kind of push up again. But it didn't even do that. We saw gold really find support on the 50 period moving average with a decent amount of volume, and we've been watching how kind of push up, especially with what we've been seeing with the actual war situations, and additionally to that with just the uncertainty within the trades or the trade situation that we've been watching in the world. It's definitely gotten much more, just more play. You can sit there and see, we're seeing even on low days of gold, we're watching it push up. So I'm kind of expecting to see gold continue up into at least the 2600 area. Right now we're sitting at that 3400, and so this would probably be just 3 weeks. If we don't see a ceasefire come in, I expect to see gold get up to that 3600 area. And so also just to add in, we talked about this trade here. So this trade took out just a little longer than what we expected. This was going to be a monthly trade here that we had right at this level, which is the previous month. And you can see here that it did pretty good on this trade. We tapped it right here. It was in the evening where we tapped it. We saw it kind of come back up. It kind of pushed up, but finally it's starting to take hold. And you can see here. Now, we've talked about how to trade these trades, right? To trade the trades by basically waiting until the 5 minute where it shows weakness, and then we capture the weakness once we close below the 8 and 20 cross. We go long or we go short. Boom, boom. We would have captured that. Then it shot up. You would have got out around here, right at this level, and then done whatever it want. But right about here, right, this was into the evening, Sunday evening, we saw it come back down. If you were paying attention to gold on the CME, then you would, or PAX G, which is again another crypto native that follows gold. But again, you would have the same play where we would have seen it kind of come down. As we see, it's starting to show weakness right here, kind of came down. You might have been stopped out right here. But either way, we were looking to short this at this level because that was a liquidity pool that we were expecting to see. And you can see here, as it sold off, you would have made some pretty good change here as we continued. Now, I do expect to see us go down a little bit further on this trade, potentially coming back down to that 2800 or 3380 and potentially that 3350 area.
Nope, you sat on your mic or something.
Sell off there for when it comes to gold. Again, what?
Your mic just went out for a second. It's back.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think you sat on your mute button and then you unsat on it, so it just was gone for 2 seconds.
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. I got to get a better mic. I just got to. All right, so here we go. But that's what we're expecting. Now, Tom, talk to me. Let's talk about this gold situation because I just don't. I see the dominance. There's only 19 million Bitcoin. That's it. That is it, right? It's hard enough to get loving people to marry people to agree 50% of the time. Okay, so imagine people who like on a Bitcoin, what's the word I want to use? Consensus, getting everybody to say that you're going to create more Bitcoin. I don't see it.
It is possible. In theory, it's possible that the amount of Bitcoin could be changed. But you would need a lot of people to vote for that, and it's a difficult.
I think you have a better. I truly think you have a better way. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you have a better chance, literally, of a supernova happening, or a giant asteroid hitting us, than 50% of consensus, or 50.01%
of all the node operators voting for that. And I don't understand how Bitcoin voting works, but it's not just the 3 biggest mining pools getting together and changing everything. You got to convince a lot of independent node operators to also support it. So I'm sure someone in the comments will let us know how that works. But as I was saying earlier, Bitcoin or gold, which could it be? Bitcoin. Which could it be, Pedro? And for a long time, people. My screen button stopped working. For a long time, people had. I gotta make sure this thing works during this stream.
While Tom is doing that.
Wait, hold on. It's coming back right now.
All right, you still have gold right there.
I know. There we go. Getting that off of your eyes there. Okay, it didn't. Come on, you can do it.
You're gonna do while we're waiting here. I'll add this in while you're talking, while you're trying to work that out. So what's interesting is, and my biggest thing is this, is that what are we gonna do in 10 to 15 years when Elon Musk or Blue Origin or many other organizations that are fighting to make rocket ships and interstellar travel actually happen, where we can go and get to the asteroid belt? And we already know, we've already done many imaging. There we go. I'll finish this thought off. Many imaging done already at many of the asteroids, so we know which ones hold gold, we know which one hold platinum, we know, like, we've sat there and we can sit there and with a high degree. And you're telling me that Elon Musk is not going to sit there and say, all right, well, there's a mountain of gold right there, and that's going to be great for my robots and my whole entire tech,
exactly,
city here that I'm trying to build.
Yeah, like on Earth or on Mars. Or
Mars, yeah, I was thinking more Mars, but either way, it's going to flood the whole entire our ecosystem, because he won't be able to build it on. I mean, I hate to say it, he's not going to be able to build it on Mars. He'll have to build it on Earth and then be able to send it over to Mars. And I mean, I think that will probably happen within the next 10, 15. I mean, I think 20 years might be pushing it, but he is aggressively trying to build this, and so. Yeah. When you bring a mountain of gold, or two mountains of gold, or a range of mountains of gold on the market, what is that going to do to gold?
Well, it depends if one person controls it or if a lot of people have it. If a lot of people have that mountains of gold, prices will crash. But if one person controls it, like De Beers controlled the price of diamonds for so long, then there'll be an artificial price. But we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, up on the screen it says Bitcoin or gold, BTC or AU, for those of you on the periodic table. Which is it going to be? Which is it going to be? Everybody knows that Bitcoin is the new kid on the block. Gold has literally been around forever. As long as humans' history has
5,000 years, 6,000 years with the Egyptian culture that we know of so far.
Right, and so it's been around. It's been the basis of currency. Gold was the ultimate substitute for people having to carry around their goats and their corn and their maize and their wheat and whatever they were growing, because food was the only currency for the beginning of time. And then they said, well, we can't carry around these piles of food, so we need gold. They discovered it. It was hard to mine. It was hard to refine. It's hard to smelt. Costs a lot of money. The resources put into it make it valuable because it's not easy to do. Everyone can't do it. Sure, people can go pan for the gold and that type of stuff. And throughout history, people have done that. But the resources to go in to truly mine it, to get currency amounts of gold, require a lot of resources. Now, Pedro, ask yourself this question. I'll ask you this question. What else, new thing from 2010 or 2009, whatever, developed, also now takes a tremendous amount of resources to bring to fruition? Bitcoin. I'll answer it for you there. Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin is almost identical in its processes for going from nothing to something valuable now, because it starts with the miners mining it, which now requires a tremendous amount of resources, power, computational power, the computers themselves, data, warehouses, all this type of stuff. And that doesn't mean that you can't take your little computer out and try and mine a little creek for some. You'll get some, participate in a pool, or maybe that every now and then that one lightning strike where a solo miner gets the whole block does happen. So it's a very similar analogy, so very similar to gold and Bitcoin. The major difference right now is twofold. One, Bitcoin is a physical thing. You can hold it. Gold is a physical thing. You can hold it. Bitcoin is a digital thing. You can't hold it. You can hold your computer or your wallet or whatever, but nobody can hold Bitcoin. It just doesn't exist. So if power doesn't work, the Bitcoin doesn't work. But with gold, if there's no shipping or logistics, that doesn't mean you can't do anything with the gold anyway. Anyway, so we've seen, the historical context between the two. Recent, let's see, gold strength, as you've pointed out, has risen a lot in 2025. You're just looking at their chart now. My notes here show me that central banks around the world are trying to diversify away from the U.S. dollar reserves. The U.S. dollar share dropped from 60% in 22 to 57% today. Then you're like, that's not much. That's a tremendous amount of money. Bitcoin's volatility. Bitcoin surged to 109,000 in January 25, but dropped since then. Here we are watching it just trying to come back now this week. So gold's steady climb versus Bitcoin's kind of roller coaster is a big talking point for the banks and for big institutions. They like steady. So they're saying we're staying in gold. And you can see that anytime the news happens, flight to safety is still in gold. Bitcoin is now starting to sell off during news events because institutions are just like, oh, well, it's just another one of our financial products. Move to cash, better sell Bitcoin. Whereas, years ago that wasn't, or even months ago, that wasn't really the case. And reserve assets here, reserve asset potential. Gold is obvious. They dig it up, you hold on to it, people value it, they'll trade it, there's markets for it, you can make it into stuff, you have to use it in electronics, you have to all kinds of stuff. Gold is highly liquid and less volatile than BTC. It's a tangible appeal, physical structure appeals to people for it. Now, Bitcoin does have its advantages, Pedro. Bitcoin's blockchain ensures that no central authority can control it, and its capped supply mimics gold's scarcity, but obviously it's easier to track and that. And institutional adoption, BlackRock, Fidelity, and even nations are now adopting and embracing Bitcoin, just like nations have adopted and embraced gold. So it does have its advantages, and it's up and coming. So what are the challenges? Let's talk about the challenges of the two here. Bitcoin's volatility. Crypto markets are prone to dramatic swings, and we can see that, even though we know over time it's just it's a go up thing. Obviously no guarantee of that. Even when Bitcoin has dipped 90%, it's gone right back up. That doesn't happen in gold. Maybe it happened way back in the charts when it was 80 cents and dipped to 20 cents during something like that. But one of the challenges for Bitcoin is obviously regulatory. And that around the world, that problem is starting to solve itself. But gold is a settled instrument in every country of the world. There are restrictions about people removing gold from certain countries, how much they can, that type of stuff, because that gold may be the reserve asset for that country still. But Bitcoin, it's the crypto, the regulatory hurdles lack a consistent global regulation and global acceptance that gold has. Does Bitcoin's technological edge and growing adoption outweigh the volatility and regulatory uncertainty, or is gold's stability and entrenched role unassailable? Unassailable. And yes, I did have AI reword that question for me. But anyway, so it's that's kind of the essence of the talking point. Does the technological edge and growing adoption outweigh the downsides of it, the volatility and regulatory uncertainty? Or is gold's stability and entrenched role unassailable? That's the question of the day. Pedro, I ask you, I pontificate. So what do you think? Do you think Bitcoin can do it? Or is gold just too entrenched and its use is too far and wide, its usage accepted far and wide, with a massive potential for the futures, like you were talking about with Elon? What do you think?
I think it's not just black and white like that. I think it's going to be a myriad of things that are going to correlate with a decoupling from gold over the future. Let's talk about silver. Silver, when we looked at the history of gold and silver and its parallel, it was always at least, I think it was a 10-to-1 ratio, typically is what we saw. Right now we almost see 100-to-1, right, with what we're watching right now. And because of the usage of silver and what we're seeing with it from an economic standpoint, it would be detrimental to our society if we saw that ratio go back to a 10-to-1 ratio with gold, because we use silver for so many things, and it's imperative to keep it at a lower level. There is market manipulation that relates to this, and there are market forces from a capitalist society that we need that at a certain point. So it's we almost have a capitalist society interjection with a lot of Keynesianism thought processing. Okay, this is important to understand this, because when we're looking at a Bitcoin to gold ratio, we use gold for a lot of fundamental
it's in our phones.
blocks. Not just our phones, but everything, and absolutely not everything, that's the wrong word, but any type of electronic, it is used because it is a great what's the word I want to use? A great product to be able to transit to have electricity go across this. The best way to put it.
It's malleable, it's conductible, doesn't bleed electricity off to other things. It keeps it within it.
Yeah, and so this idea that if we could finally pull away from gold, this behooves our society, and it would make it efficient to remove that need for gold, and also as just a blanket form of currency, and we can switch to crypto / Bitcoin, right? Where it takes a lot. And here's the thing, America right now, if we wanted to revalue our gold, which is right now down at $31, you know, when I pull up our gold assets that we have right here, right? Like when we look at this on my, and I go over this typically during our technical Tuesdays, right? I go, how much are we worth today, right? And we go over like that 508, right? Well, this goes over precious metals and gold. And so that currently right now for our gold stash that we have in America, we have it in the actual, in the line item as price wise, it's about $31, not at the current value right now, but literally at $31, in which it was down, I think it was in the 70s in which they did it. And so if we were to sit there and go, okay, well, we're now going to restructure our price, and a lot of other countries around the world do this, we don't, because if we do, it could restructure the whole entire price of gold. And so gold would go from $3,100 where it's sitting right now to a tenfold. It would go to, I would expect it to get 30,000 within a month or two because of our restructuring of the US dollar based off of gold. Right?
Yeah,
and
but that's not gonna happen.
Right, exactly. Well, it might. I mean, if Trump's already, Trump's done stuff that I'm like, holy, wow.
True.
When push comes to shove, he's the one who has really the real power to say, this is what we're doing. And if Bassett really wants to push that, we could. If we really needed to restructure our debt, we could restructure it in that way. And then all of a sudden, all our banks go long on gold, especially into the futures. Now, we're not having to print money. We just basically pay taxes, and all our banks get a 10 times increase of whatever wealth. Everybody and their mother would be funneling into gold, because from a strategic level, you have to have the correct balance of debt to income. So again, there's all these plays here that correlate that gold is inefficient right now, and we all know sooner or later the world goes to efficiency, because just the idea of Kodak and digital cameras, right? Like if Kodak would have realized the efficiency of digital, they would still be the juggernaut that they were in the 80s and 90s.
Well, I think one really far away scenario is if you, I was reading articles about gold over the weekend. You take all the gold that's ever been mined and processed, it fits into a very small area. It fits into an area the size of a house, essentially. And that's a typical 4-bedroom house, 70 feet this way, 70 feet that way, 70 feet tall, something like that. Okay, it's bigger than a 4-bedroom house, but that's that.
I was like, what 4-bedroom house are you living in, dog?
Fancy
70
joint.
feet, dog, bro. That's
7
6 stories, bro. That's literally 6 stories. Just
All right,
so you know.
That's not a lot of gold, but these asteroids out there that have it on it could have. And I'm sure there's tons of it more in the Earth. We just can't find it since the Earth is so big. But you can find it in an asteroid. And you could bring back literally 20 times, 100 times, 200 times the amount. And instead of bringing it back to Earth, you just drag it into orbit around Mars or somewhere in between, and you tokenize the value of it. And you just say, all right, and now you can share it, and if you want it, you got to pay for delivery for it, and it costs to get your $1 billion of gold out, it'll cost you $25 million to have it shipped to the Earth. I can see a scenario like that, but before that happens, is this question: will Bitcoin overtake gold as the world reserve asset in a digital first future? Remember, we're moving, everything's an app now. Like I was just having this discussion the other day in which people don't want to call somewhere to get a reservation if they can use an app. Even if the app's new, they don't have an account, they don't do anything. All they have to do is call this number and they get this nice host on the phone. Hi, yes, 2 at 7. Okay, thanks. Click. They're like, hold on, let me download this new app. It's on Open Table? No. It's on Resi? No, it's on Tom's app thing. All right. Make an account. Information. This. Can't confirm. Oh, wait. Text me a number. Email. Oh, the email was. They'd rather go through all that. So our future is literally a digital first future in which the younger generation is going to choose digital first. And does that mean that the new people coming up in the risk management departments and investment departments of the big investment companies will think gold first? The people that are there now think gold first. They've been there for ages, just like people that are risk managers that think dollar first, forget bricks, because all I know is risk management and dollars. These people only know gold and risk management and investments. The younger people coming up and be like, hey, I'd rather don't download that app than call the host. And so to me, that signifies a future in which people would choose the digital version of safety and security rather than a physical one, especially if we trash the rest of the Earth, and the Earth is a disgusting place and we all live in the clouds and like sci-fi movies and stuff like that. So will tradition win out or disruption win out? Tradition or disruption? So that's always a good way to think of it too. Obviously not answerable at this point. We might be able to go back 30 years from now and go, remember that talk we had? Woo. Boy, were we wrong.
Well, when you look at the idea of the variables that we could sit there and see, it's kind of clear that gold it was great when we needed it, right? But it's not something that is I truly don't think it's going to hold, because I don't see it fully grabbing or meeting the need that we need to have. We need gold to progress to the next level. We absolutely need it. And so,
well, if we need it, then we need it. Like I said, we need gold not just for safety of currency and asset value. We need it for stuff. I mean, God forbid, jewelry market comes to a halt and you can't get your gold-plated, crappy thing made by a 12-year-old in some poor country. I mean, that. But more importantly, electronics. As the world moves towards more and more electronics, gold is more and more important. Gold contacts, gold this, gold that. Gold leaf is in all sorts of electronics. And he who controls that supply, or she, or whomever, or a Tesla Android robot, is going to win that game. Anyway, so I just thought that talking about that for a while and getting the concepts out about Bitcoin versus gold would be good. Not only good for hopefully an algorithm video, but good to flesh those out, because when we talk about those, like anything else, it gets the the information refreshed and the neurons going, oh yeah, I need to remember this and talk about that and think more logically through these things. Because it's a big deal. And if you look at it, ultimately, as we come to the end of this segment, ultimately people are going to be deciding, or institutions, but people behind the institutions or computer algorithms are going to say, where do I put more money? I have $1 trillion. Am I going to put it in gold? Am I going to put it in Bitcoin? Or am I going to have a ratio there in which one is stronger than the other? Thus, those decisions years from now will tell us who wins this battle.
I think it's, like you said, it'll probably be a mix of both until it's just blatant that Bitcoin or some form of Bitcoin will be just efficient, because ultimately it's kind of silly. I mean, like, for example, if Trump just simply goes through and restructures the value of gold to the current price of today, it would change everything. America. So it's just not plausible into the future, especially with our need of the actual physical asset to keep. And if we, like I said, if literally in the next 10 to 20 years, Elon really starts to go through and move along, which when he says something, he typically does it. I mean, people thought he was crazy when he said he's going to, have a worldwide internet where everybody's going to be able to use. People thought he was crazy to just have rockets re-land. And he's like, no, that's just the beginning stage. We need that because we need that for literally asteroid mining and to build things on Mars, because he's got to go up and down constantly. And people said, you're crazy. And the man's already halfway. He's 30% there. So I kind of take him at his word. Now, he thinks it's going to be, 3 to 5 years. I think it's 10 years. But that's 10 years from now.
And 10 years is a decade away, but not far in the grand scheme of,
it's not.
Anything.
If you're 10 years old, it's half your life. But if you're 50, 10 years can blink an eye. Even when you're 40, you can blink in an eye.
It's the 10 years is this gray stuff up here.
So, I mean, I know if you're 20 years old, that's 50% of your life. But trust me, if you're 20 years old, those 10 years are gonna fly by.
Right.
You'll be like, holy crap, I'm 30, and I've got 2 kids and a mortgage and a house and maybe an ex-wife, right? Like, ask this guy next to me.
Right.
Ask this guy next to me, right? And it's real, and that man is real about his goals, and that's just him. What if Jeff Bezos gets on the coattail of him, and really they just start to have this, Coke versus Pepsi fight, right? All of a sudden, it's on like Donkey Kong. Like, now you have competitive, and then China gets involved. We see China potential. Like, I don't see the CCP staying in power much longer, more than 10 to 15 years.
All authoritarian regimes eventually come crumbling down under their own weight.
They do, right? And so I say this because we're already starting to see the cracks really happen. And so what if in the next 10, 15 years, it implodes on itself, and then out of that, another 5 years happen, and you already have a lot of these tech geniuses there, right? They get together and they say, how are we going to come back up? Oh, we need to reach out to the stars. Now, all of a sudden, you have, when I mean this, I literally mean this. Go research this, because I'm going to sound like I'm a racist, but I want you to go research this. You literally have the smartest people in the world, predominantly in Asia, in general, like China, I think it was Vietnam and Japan. Like, you literally have the smartest people in the world per capita, from an IQ standpoint, up at that level. And if they need to make food and eat, that whole entire idea of, well, they're more docile, goes away, and all of a sudden their testosterone kicks in, male and female, and then their brain goes, let's figure this out, because we need to become the next tech geniuses here, because we literally have the brain power, and they have the raw power there. So there's so many nuances here that I don't see gold becoming, staying its superpower. that it is today. And again, this is not even including if Trump decides, hey, we're going to take our reserve here of $31 priced, and we're going to move it up to $3,100, or even like, let's say even $1,000 would be 1/3. It would literally be a 40x, almost 40x increase of what gold price is today on our books, which would make us, again, it would dwarf our debt. It would dwarf our debt. Right. And all of a sudden now we're again, what's debt? Literally. So
it's the what is debt thing. I mean, we can make the debt go away by inflating other things. We can make the debt go away by changing our monetary system, but we'd screw up the rest of the economy doing it probably. If you let private industry...
We did it with tariffs already. Why wouldn't he do it?
Well,
like, this is what I'm trying to say. I mean, do we understand the man that we're dealing with?
I think whatever process... The tariffs are one thing, but something that would take 10 to 20 years to fundamentally change everything. I mean, Mr. Trump only has, 3 years left here, 3.5 years left. Even if some constitutional change happened to allow him to win again, I think that's not going to happen. I think the man only has a little bit of time, and he's got to get quick hits in. And 4 years is, in Washington D.C. terms, is quick hits. I mean, things take ages.
Throwing this out there. But the thing is if, let's say, and I don't know the details here, this you would be the man to really talk, so I'm going to talk to you about this. Let's say that Vance runs president, and then his vice president is, lo and behold, Trump. And in addition to that, he goes 2 years, or he goes 2 terms, and then Rubio runs, he wins, and guess who his vice president is?
Yeah, he can't. Trump can't be vice president.
All right.
He has to be able to be vice president. You have to be eligible to be president, and he just can't be the office of vice president. They talk about that, but everyone's like, they read the Constitution. No,
that can't happen. Okay.
No.
I heard somebody say that. I was like, and that's why I said this man would know.
Right. So. That's a big fat no. Anyway, Pedro, let's get back to the markets. We only got a half hour left in here. For us, that's like 5 seconds. While we were talking, and while we were going to this, I took the Bitcoin bull flag that had formed, and I'm not one lately, after learning the rules, to take it in such a high premium in the market. A bull flag just sitting out there in the middle of nowhere without any other indicators of what it's going to do is, for me, a little sketchy. It used to be something that I would FOMO into no problem and then lose my shirt. But I'm up a few bucks right now in it, and I've set my stops. Oh, I'm just going to bring my chart up for a second here. While we were talking here, the Bitcoin has come up to 107.8. We started the day much earlier, but right down here in these bottoms, right we're at triple bottom there on this chart. I got in while we were talking, and I've moved my stops up, as you can see, into the above the P&L, and now have a take profit up higher. I'm probably going to take it before the take profit just to show some gains for today. But it was it'll be a nice little win for us during the show, and I'll credit it to our talk. The market FOMO'd because you and I were talking about how Bitcoin's going to do so well in the future. That's why it pumped. Technical analysis, forget it. Fundamental analysis, forget it. You know what? It doesn't matter. It was just like, hey man, Pedro and Tom are talking about this shit. Let's buy.
That's exactly right. Let's not forget that, my peoples.
Anyway, thank you to everybody out there that's watching us on the Rumble. And once again, you're leading the pack with the viewers today. Thank you very much. And on that note, Pedro, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Rumble for a second here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another time to as they say, pay the trader here. and feed the hosts. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. No. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers only. They just don't get much out of it. Watching our show DYOR Live on Rumble is the most that they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have that means, we're just as happy if you watch us on Rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, Rumble has been very good to us. We're once again going to be part of their creator community after the month end turns over and they bring in the new batch of creators. And if you could, click this QR code right here. Do us a favor, click the QR code and go check out the offer that they're giving our viewers. I'm not saying you have to subscribe, just click the QR code, go through it, read the material, and see what you think. And if you want to join the platform and watch things without ads, and also watch there's a lot of content that is in Rumble Premium only. And Pedro and I will be doing Rumble Premium only stuff next month when we get back in the creator program. And you can watch us for that. And there's also guys like Steve Crowder and crew who have a Rumble Premium show in which they really let their opinions fly. And it's really good. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, go to rumble.com/premium, or in the comment section, there'll be a bubble here with the link. Or take your phone, use this QR code, and join. There we go.
There you guys go. We hit 2.
26
2 on Friday.
cents.
2 on Friday, 2 on today. Hey, man. Here we go.
Like you said, when we were going over the analytics, just nothing but going up. Doesn't matter the totals right now, just that it's going up and it builds upon itself.
We let it happen. If you guys could do us a quick favor, and just help us out quite a bit. I hate to do this. I'm going to go over some more charts here in just a second. Especially, I'm going to go over a lot of stuff tomorrow. So show up tomorrow where I'm going to go over the full panoply of the market and really go
another good word.
What's up?
Another good word.
I'm sorry. What? Okay, wait, give me a second. Just let me. So in the same sense, as we're moving forward here, we're really going to kind of focus on just the idea of where is this market headed, especially with everything that's happening this week. And we're at the 6-month mark coming up here. So we're going to, this week, we're going to go over, or for Technical Tuesday tomorrow, please show up. But I want you guys to see what we're doing here. And so you can plan for the next 6 months in the market and be able to make, just like we talked about, if you go and you look at our show, it has 3,000 views. Shout out to the 6-month mark here. If you look at our show on January 6th, no, not January 6th, excuse me, January 20th, that day in which we basically talked about the market and where it was going to happen. We called it the Trump trades, right? What we expect. And so this actually brought a lot of value to a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys made a lot of money here off of those trades. And so I'm going to go over again from this moment on what I expect for the next 6 months in the market, so you guys can actually trade these things. Again, gold, crude oil, silver, a lot of these things, Bitcoin, and a lot of the other ones that we expected to move, moved. And so we're now going to go over what I expect with the altcoins and how we're going to see those things. I think we're going to see it really start to pick up and move and really get going here. So please show up tomorrow. And while you're at it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And if you hit the share button, please go wherever you share it. Go into Cognito, click on that link, or copy it and paste it in your Cognito browser. That helps us out immensely when you guys do that. And then in addition to that, it helps the algorithm and makes it worth it for Tom and I to keep doing. Right, Tom?
1,000,000%, brother. I looked the wrong way.
The other way.
1,000,000%, brother.
There you go. 2%.
I usually get that right by default, but today I didn't.
It's all good.
Anyway, welcome Draco to the show. Thanks for joining us. Coming to you from Sucker Free City. How the ice raids doing out there? Is it a disaster in San Francisco?
Yes,
or are they
going, dog?
Well, he's in San Francisco, so it's different. And there's a lot. Is it just a normal homeless situation there?
Newsom got arrested, or I don't know the full details of that, but right, like they sent Holman. What is it, Holman? To go Holman. Now I'm messing it up. I forget his name.
They didn't
Tom
Holman.
There you go. Tom Holman. With Tom Holman, I would expect him, like Trump sent him over. Do you know the details of that win? And is Newsom in jail right now, or is he?
I didn't hear that he got arrested. I don't see any news about that.
Yeah, there was Trump said we're sending because I guess the $136 million used to actually fight against ICE to suppress illegal immigrant, or to hide illegal immigrants and suppress ICE to go ahead and keep them from away from pulling out the illegal immigrants.
I gotta tell you, no one's above the law. I mean, you can't. I mean, obviously he has certain things as a governor he can do by directing his agencies not to do things in a lawful manner, just like the president directs his agencies to do things in a lawful manner. And they necessarily, agencies issue conflicting things all the time, not necessarily criminal. But if he actively, took illegal immigrants and hid them, that actually is a crime. It is a crime.
And they're talking about the idea of, like, it's not like the Jewish culture during Nazi Germany who lived there for literally generations, like 5-6 generations, right? And they built businesses, and right, like here, if you could stay in America, right, for one generation and have a few generations that are born here, you're good, right? Like you're good, like, but yeah, just like I'm a product of that, right? Like that's it. My dad came over and my mom was like, "Hey, what's up? You look good," and she was like, "Hey, what's up? You do too. What's up?" Boom. 9 months later, pop out. Hey, there's Pedro right here. This guy with the thumbs. Hey, right? But we're talking people who literally came over during really the push for, the restructuring, or as I say, the Kamala initiative that she was planning to do, that they were trying to do, and she accomplished it, right? And so, like, there's these circumstances that as I say that because, why was I saying that? Oh, Sucker Free
Got me.
Club. Sucker Free. That's why. Sucker Free. Dude, how is San Francisco doing over there with that?
He must be taking care of a car sale right now.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, but it's interesting to see Trump really kind of play that over the weekend. Like, now he makes that comment on Friday, and then he flies out to Canada to go and hang out with the world leaders, which I thought was kind of like, I was like, that's kind of dickish. And then, all right, so my other question is this. What are your thoughts on Iran saying they're not going to pursue a nuclear?
I think they're just buying time and lying to us. They've lied to us for 40 years. and there's nothing in the whole story that would say, okay, now they're being honest. And I think they're just buying time, not necessarily because they got some grand plan. I think they're buying time because they're like, shit, we need to figure out what to do here. We didn't expect this. They called our bluffs. Israel and the United States have been systematically dismantling Iran's influence throughout the Middle East and the world for since October 7th in 2023. And they did it because we've been putting up with their bullshit for so long. And a large part of our budget, their military budget, I think someone talked to that, it's about $300 billion worth, is dedicated to supporting the assets in the Middle East. That we spend all that money just because Iran is a bunch of assholes. We'd spend a lot less of it because we wouldn't want Russia to have as much influence there, so we'd still obviously invest in it. And so when October 7th happened, we said, all right, this is the time. And even under the Biden administration, they supported Israel without fail until they waffled on it. But the money in the army and the Patriot missile systems and everything that we support Israel with behind the scenes was there anyway. And they took out Hamas. They took out Hezbollah. Syria, done. All these guys, Houthis, we just took them out. And they've said, hey, enough of that shit. You blew up all our shit underground. We didn't think we could do that. You guys could do that. Iranians lied to us. And Trump's like, all right, you gonna mess with U.S. ships anymore? They're like, no, we're good. And they haven't. The Houthis haven't messed with us since then. They've tried to shoot at some Israeli things and stuff like that. But the Israelis are now bombing them too. And then that took away all of Iran's influence now, and they were flailing in the wind. And they didn't have their little fingers out there doing their work for them, so they started mouthing off. And that didn't work. And it worked out very badly for them. Their whole top military leadership got taken out. And those are not people that get promoted like in the U.S., like generals and things like that. These guys get promoted out of who they know, theology, trustworthiness and loyalness, like other authoritarian regimes. So they're not replaceable. Like the U.S. general gets shot, there's 60 guys waiting. Next, whoop. And the whole thing goes with policy, procedures, everything just keeps going, no problem. Little different changes over time, whatever, not a big deal. Over there, when the top guys go, there's a vacuum. And all the underlings right now are going, okay, I want the job. And the other guys are going, I want the job. I want the job. I want to be the top guy. And then there's a bunch of guys going, I don't want to be the top guy in public. I'm going to be the behind the scenes guy. So there's going to be a power fight. And that takes time. And so they need to publicly say, ooh, we're going to hold on for a little bit here and see what we can do. So I bet you the intelligence guys are sitting there listening to their conversations, trying to get Hezbollah going again, trying to get some business going in Syria, trying to stir up people elsewhere. But they need time. And Iran needs time, and they will get the world and people out there to appease them by saying, all right, well, we're going to revisit this. And then while they're doing that, they're spinning up their manufacturing business and getting more drones up and ready to go, new ones that will be different. And then they'll launch some strikes again. And then bad stuff's going to happen.
I don't want to interrupt. I want to springboard off what you're saying here.
Spring.
It's really, like this idea, I want to Kaizen off of what you're saying, which is basically this idea that anything that they really had was all China's, right? They didn't really build this on their own. They bought it from China, a lot of those drones. Am I wrong, or is that... I read it.
Well, Iran has always had a manufacturing industry, and after we started not allowing them to trade with the world, they built their own manufacturing industry without having to rely on other countries. They have steel mills, they have fabricating industries, they built all those things out of what they had. I mean, they kept those F-14s they bought in the early 70s running to this day. They have F-4 Phantoms out there flying. We haven't used the F-4s. They retired them in 78, 79, something like that. We retired the F-14s. They haven't been able to get parts. In fact, we even destroyed all of our F-14s And if you go see one in a museum, there's nothing in them. And they've sawed through the wing spar just to ensure that no parts from an F-14 in a museum could wind up in Iran, keeping theirs in service. And so they had to do things themselves. So they have manufacturing. They don't have a big supply chain outside of that, so it's hard to get computer chips and all that. So they rely on China for those types of things. But they've got the basics. It takes time to spin that back up after it gets blowed up.
So it's really interesting to sit there and see that. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the G, with all the governments coming together and really talking about what is happening in Iran. I mean, when it comes to the United Nations spot, and with them talking about now with Israel and everything, it's interesting. I wonder what's actually happening in United Nations, as well as why am I forgetting the other one? United Nations.
World Trade Organization?
Yeah, the World Trade Organization. If they're going to even remotely even give them a chance to speak and talk, right? Like it's at a point now where it's like, just, almost, I hate to say it, but the rest of the world is like, well, you guys, how many times have your leaders said you want to literally see the destruction of the occupation, the occupation nation, or the nation of occupation, and see them wiped off the face of the earth, right? Like they have certain word usage that they use, just like how we use the word Savasa sickness, or
right.
How words we use like the great bear across the sea, or the great dragon across the sea, whatever, right? Like however we say it, but it everybody knows what we're talking about. These are the certain things that we've seen now come out of the rhetoric of many of top leaders, as well as the great leader, right? And I think it's interesting, really interesting. Is that the music? I think that's the music.
No, I wasn't playing the music yet.
I just hear a lot of background music, background sounding.
No, that would be what's going on in the kitchen here.
Oh. Well, sounds like she's cooking up a storm, and it's all good.
I think for the dog and not for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes about sense, right? All right. So
But anyway, Pedro, I did want to ask, what is going on with crude oil during this whole mess?
Oh, so crude oil has
how has that been reacting to the news of, God forbid, not God forbid, but in a positive way, Iran comes out of this with a new government, and the world says, all right, let's lift the sanctions against Iran, and all of a sudden their oil is available for sale on the market.
Dude, it would crash, not crash the market, but it would definitely push the market down.
There would have to be, OPEC would try to limit, right? Because
absolutely.
If Iran would be like, we need the fresh capital, sell all the oil we want.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. Because they would, if there's a restructuring of like you said, the power structures or the leadership within Iran, you would expect to see a major. They're going to need cash. They're going to need money, and their biggest cash and money that they really have is what's beneath them. So they're going to flood the market. And I wouldn't. Again, there's a scripture in the Bible that literally says, "Do not go after a man who steals. Just have him pay 7 times fold." Right? If I were them, this is what I would do. Right? Like flood the market and say, "I'm sorry. What do you expect us to do?" Right? And so that's why I would expect it to see it just drop off, especially with, just look at this right here. We saw on Friday, look at this huge jump up, right? This is what happened on Friday. We hit our zone right here that we talked about on crude oil. Now, again, I wasn't expecting us to see this huge push up, right? And this whole entire thing again with Israel, and
right?
Just the explosion of that, especially going after Iran. But what I would expect to see, though, is in relationship to this, is if we see either a ceasefire or just a complete annihilation, you would see two things. If they just go after each other, right here, it's going up here. It's going back up to that 89. But if we do see a ceasefire or just annihilation of the complete system of it, over the next 6 months to a year, if not 2 years, again, you would see them flood the market with crude oil, and I would expect it to come back down to that, $60 mark area, 60 to that 55. I might have to move this up, because this obviously this area down in that 55 to 45 area might have been a little too low. We did hit this a couple times, but you can see here that it's just kind of struggling to stay down. The buyers are at this level. You can see it here. So, but ultimately, it's kind of a this kind of is a binary situation that could splinter into a million possibilities. So, actually, not even a binary. We got a trinary. We have three. We have three ways of. I don't even know how to call it. Three circumstances that could happen, and again, from those three, we could have 25, 27 circumstances that just splinter into a million.
What's the top part of your little green box here? What is the difference in the price range from that to where the pricing is today?
Yeah, so that's 55, and today it's $71 today. So we're talking that's going to be 15. 16. Come on, brain.
That's a big jump over
20.
This short period of time.
Yeah, it's about 15. Yeah, 15, 16 period. Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not even really that big of a jump. It's very much a big deal because, it's costing us money. But when you consider, this was the same price that we saw when Trump came into office. Right, drill baby drill was on this day, right here. Wait, excuse me, right here. No, what just happened?
The 21st.
Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to get, right here we go. On this day right here, drill baby drill. Right?
Buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah. We saw it come down, and then right here was when we saw the whole entire circumstance going on in May with Israel and all that, and then boom with Iran, and we just have seen it just kind of go up. Now the full-on bombing of what we saw with Hamas, and especially with Iran, if they can bring peace by force and eliminate and restructure, instead of a Shiite dominant ideology in that area, to more of a Sufi, or not Sufi, Shiite,
Sunni.
I don't know why I was thinking Sufi. Sunni ideology, and I know there's a million. There's a lot. I won't say million, but there are a lot of denominations within Sunni. But the idea behind it is just within the Sunni selection of Islam. But in that same sense, it would be more of a capitalist mindset versus more of a religious ideology that governs the resources of that period. And you could see some major, over the next 10 years, some major growth. And I think it would slow down this, and we could see it roughly play about this part right now down in this level here. So there's a lot at play here, but it's kind of, I hate to use the word exciting time, but it kind of is. It's a revolutionary and an exciting time in relationship to what we could see happen over in those neck of the world, in those neck of the woods, when it comes to just freedom, education, a lot of things that we could see that's happening in the UAE, really transition into Iran, into Syria. So it's going to be really interesting to see as things start to move.
Freedom.
Pedro,
before we get going here, I'm going to take one last opportunity. Pay the bills here.
Nice.
And then we'll roll out with that. You're probably going to recognize this one, but they're paying us well here. This one, Pedro. This one is going to be for 53 cents. Hey, no comments from the crowd.
She's killing it. You're killing us, Mrs. Striking.
Why isn't this starting here?
Did we lose it?
Hold on, let me. I gotta refresh the campaigns here. Yep, it should start now. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching our show, everybody, today. Wouldn't be possible without our great sponsors. And on that note, one of our great sponsors lately has been 1775 Coffee. Have you still not tried 1775 Coffee? Now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. That's right, 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check. The smooth medium roast and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. No. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus you're also getting in your kit a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. No. You know what I'm going to do for that? That's right, the eagle scream for that. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch." $175 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 Coffee blow up on Rumble. Wondering, is it actually worth it? Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. 1775 Coffee I'm going to read that correctly again. 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're gone. Also, there's QR code right here next to me here. Go ahead and click that, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. And look over their offers for it and the savings you can get. It helps us out, even if you just click it and show that our audience is actually here and interactive. And thank you to Rumble for allowing us to read another great ad from 1775 Coffee.
Free right there for the day, man. Something's happening.
Yep, we hit it all. We had 19 cents. It's getting more each time. 19 cents, 26 cents, then 50. Look at that. We made just about $1 today on that, Pedro. No comments from the crowd.
Oh my goodness. No comments from the peanut gallery over here. But that is amazing, people. That has everything to do with you guys and what you guys are doing. So we really appreciate you guys on Rumble, really sticking around. Again, please come by tomorrow. We're going to go over in detail, kind of like what I expect to see, what's going to happen over the next 6 months, especially with crypto and with a lot of the altcoins. I'm going to point out a few little gems I've been looking at, kind of on the DL, checking them out. And I'm going to cut through this quick so that we can get through it, because sometimes me and Tom can talk, and before you know it, it's 2 hours, and I'm like, I barely went over 10 charts. We're gonna go into it. We're gonna get into it tomorrow. So please come back. It'll be fun.
Well, we definitely know how that works for sure. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear the outro music going. It's that time of the day. I've had a nice market Monday here, as I've been calling it lately. Let's try and get the system ready for this sign out here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good show today. Went over the concept of Bitcoin and gold. Which one of them can take dominance is an important one, because it ultimately shapes out how people going forward that are young in the markets believe about them in the future, whether they believe in a digital first future, whether they believe in the traditional physical safety of gold. It'll be interesting to watch out, not over the next week or so, but over the next decade. Glad we addressed it today, though. Wouldn't have been anyway. Hopefully it'll make for some good greenfield content on the old DYOR Media Network. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed to us on Rumble, please do so. Create a Rumble account and subscribe to us. It's free. You don't have to join Premium, but if you'd like to join Premium, please do so. Also, we will be here tomorrow, as you can suspect, the Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro goes over the indicators of the economies around the world, how it affects your bags here in crypto or in your wealth in general. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you today. Anyways, do we got any last minute comments here from the rabble?
Come on.
Who's going to be the last one out here? We'll just put on Draco here for going out today. Thank you, Draco, for being our prolific poster and watcher du jour, and we will see everybody tomorrow. So be there.